All right, everyone, we are here with a very special guest. We are joined by the lovely Ashley Tisdale. Thank you so much for joining the show, Ashley.
Thank you.
We are so excited to have you here. We are big fans. We've wanted you on our show for a long time, so this feels kind of like a we did it moment.
Yes.
for this podcast. So that is amazing. We're super excited to talk to you. How are you doing? I know you've had so much going on, so many big things. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm obviously in a phase of life where I have a lot going on, and being a mom is just takes up all of my time as well. But I'm getting through it. I'm taking some moments to myself, which is I created a brand called Being Frenchy, and so it's like nice to have products to be able to do that. But every day is a new day. There's sometimes where I have some anxiety. There's sometimes where I'm like, I am not great at being like in this motherhood of life. Like, what am I doing? And I feel guilty because I have worked more that week. But it's just a journey. It's a journey.
Yeah. You mentioned your brand. Tell us a little bit about that because, like you said, there's something to help with that. And I think there's something for every sort of mood that goes along with your brand.
Yes, yeah. I created a blog called Frenchie about a couple of years ago, and I launched it because I really wanted to connect with everybody on a personal level. I A lot of people know, but I suffer from anxiety and depression, and I had gone through a big journey years prior that I was really stressed out, and I thought something was wrong with me, and I was meeting with all of these different practitioners, and I really just gained a lot of knowledge from each person on nutrition, and living a cleaner lifestyle is important because that can trigger things in our body. And so I really wanted to just create a platform where I could share all of this knowledge, and even share experts that I've worked with. And so I really didn't have any plans to do products with it. I was really just like excited to connect with people. We were out at home. It was during the pandemic. So it was just like, what a great time to just be able to like connect on a different level. And I think that like throughout that, little journey of life of creating that blog and really getting to know my community and what they were looking for. And then also what was getting me through the pandemic was these rituals. And a lot of the rituals were even just like small things like opening up a window and lighting a candle. And so I started to see like, okay, fragrance changes my mood, and it can like make me go from like having a really rough night to kind of feeling renewed. And so I started to like research more on that, and just the fragrance and brain connection and the mood boosting benefits. And so that's where that led me to Being Frenchy, which is products that really just help you take a moment to yourself. It's either something very easy like the hand serum that's just like on the go if you're in traffic and you just need like a little mood boost, or like a full on like ritual that you want to create for yourself. I just think it's so important for, I think, coming out. I don't know how to explain this, but coming out of what we've been through, I think there's just a lot of healing that has to be done. And like before the pandemic, I was literally going nonstop. I was like doing one TV show to the next TV show to just like, I can't even imagine like being pregnant during that time of life where I was just like on the go. And I know people that just in different areas of work that were doing the same thing. It was like they were on a train and they just kept going. And so I think for me, coming from what we just been through, I realized that just it's important to just take moments to yourself and to help you kind of like, especially with like the state of the world, sometimes it's like you really do need to focus and love yourself. And that's how I truly feel like how we can love ourselves is just listening to our bodies, taking a moment. And so I'm pretty proud of the line. I'm excited about it, and people have been like sharing it and buying it, and it's been so amazing to see.
Yeah, I love that. I think that you brought up such a good point where even though everything that everyone has been through is so awful and, a lot of horrible things have happened, but an upside to that is people have taken a time to reflect on themselves and what they want to do. People have changed career paths. People have taken the time to figure out things that have been wrong with them health-wise. And so I think that's actually a great point. And just to have something small, like you said, like just a little serum, just like, just this. I know what you mean. You smell something that's like, oh, my day has been brightened, like lavender, anything like that can just like restart your day.
Yeah, I'm not like obviously trying to the products are not going to change your life in any
Yeah.
like capacity, but they are going to take you from feeling depleted to feeling renewed. And that's what it does for me. And so out of everything that I have done in my life, this has so much more meaning and is very personal to me on so many levels because Frenchie is based off of my married name French. And so I feel really proud of what I'm doing with this line and this blog that I have because I just feel like, we are constantly talking about mental health and how we can feel good and feel better.
And did you ever think that these products would end up in Target? I feel like that is such a goal. There's Targets everywhere. Everyone loves Target. You go in there. Nowadays, some of my favorite TikToks that I feel like are all over the place are the jokes of you go into Target with your significant other or a group of friends and you're like, we're going into Target for detergent, right? And then they go into Target and then they leave with like this giant cart of stuff and they're like, oh, we didn't get the detergent. But because Target has so many amazing things, and so now your line is in Target.
I know. And to be honest, this has been a dream of mine for years. Years ago, I had taken over a line I was CEO of. I really loved what I was doing with this line. I had a real purpose of why I was trying to continue it and do it on my own and get an investment. And I just started talking about this a little bit more, but it was a moment of just like red flags to not take over the line. And I was just like, I've got to do this because I really did have this like reason of like wanting to make people feel good, but it was a makeup line. So I don't know how I was like thinking I was going to do that. But it was like my dream was to have that line in Target. And I completely failed at that like line. I could not do it by myself. I was literally doing it by myself. I was like doing a Netflix series and in hair and makeup, I was like putting in discount codes into the Shopify. Like I was just struggling by myself. And I was just like, what am I doing? It was like the most stressful time of my life. And I really felt like I went through business school that year. And I learned a lot. And I had a moment where I was just like on my balcony at my house and being like, I failed at something. And I have to come out and be like, I can't do this any longer. I've got to shut this company down. And it was one of those moments where you just are like, it sucked. It really sucked to feel that way. And I thought at that moment I was never going to, I kind of was just like, I'm probably never going to have a line at Target and that's okay. Like I obviously I'm obsessed with Target like everybody else. But it's so interesting how that journey is actually what led me to Frenchie because of all the stress and anxiety I was going under or going through. And to create a line and then to have it be in Target is just something that I feel I need to share with people being like, it really doesn't matter like if you have failures, it matters that you keep going and you get up. Because I could have just walked away and been like, that was a dream that just will never happen. And instead, I took what I did and I created something that's way more meaningful and authentic to what I was going through. But to see it in Target, like to me, people have asked me like, have you been worried you're a celebrity brand? And there's so many celebrity brands out there. And there are. And I totally understand that. But this was just different because I didn't think about like, obviously I wanted to create something that people would use and buy.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that like I was going to be launching in Target was like, I was like, oh my God, like this is the success for me. Like that is something that shows my journey of like the journey of how I got here. And when I saw it in Target, I literally cried because that to me is like all that mattered. Like I was like, I did it. It doesn't matter what it does, but like I fucking excuse my language.
No, you can curse here.
Overtaken, and the fact that people do love it and buy it is like just icing on top. But yeah, like it I can't even explain how exciting. Like it's already exciting to have something launch in Target, but to know like if you only knew that journey of like what I went through to get here, it's like it means so much to me.
Yeah, I also think that you are like a marketing genius because your TikToks will pop up on my page and I have no idea that it has anything to do with the brand. Like I'm just watching your TikTok and then at the end, your products pop up and I'm like, wow, she's smart. Like she knows what she's doing on here because you're so captivated in you and just videos that you're making. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait a second, there's a product at the end of this that I'm now also interested in. Yeah.
Well, I think it's just because it's literally in my everyday life. I
Yeah.
use the products myself. I've been developing them for years. And so it's like, I really do need these rituals to get through. So it's just like, I think it's just the most natural thing I've ever really created product wise. And I'm so glad that you guys are seeing those.
Yeah. Definitely.
Was incorporating, because you do a lot of like the High School Musical sounds, which we obviously love, and we grew up on High School Musical. Did that feel like something that was natural to you? Did somebody say, hey, you should use these sounds because that will grab people's attention? Like, where did that idea come from?
No, I think that I've been I love TikTok and I've been on TikTok forever. And so I was doing like Sharpay stuff during the pandemic I'm always like thinking of others and like trying to help them through their like life. Like that's why I do comedy. That's why I created this, this blog and this brand is to help people. And so I think in those moments where I felt like people were really scared and at home, I just wanted to entertain them. And so I was not a fan of kind of like, I don't like to rely on that stuff for my social media. And so I just was popping in like little things like that I would do, while we were all at home, and I saw people like love it and stuff. And then I think just like recently, I had done some like TikTok challenge that I wanted to do differently. It was like everybody was looking at like pictures of themselves when they were younger, like posting pictures of themselves when they're younger and being like, I got to stop being mean to myself because I'm being mean to her. And all I could think about was Sharpay just feels like another life. It was just like, I've got to stop being mean to myself because I'm being mean to her. And so I was just, I don't know, I had created that idea and like people, it like went viral. And I think I've struggled recently of like having this thing where I'm like stepping into my power, but sometimes my anxiety can like draw me back and like kind of make me feel powerless. And so there is that little bit of Sharpay that gives me that little kind of, I don't know, like oomph. And so I started to kind of play around with her stuff. Like I was doing a meeting in the offices for Being French. I was like, you guys, I was like, I've got a great idea. It's all me. It truly is all me. And I think that's why people are liking it. I mean, I literally do my social media. Like I have a team of people for sure that help, but like I create all of the idea.
It's very comforting. I'll say that.
Great. I'm so glad.
No, it is. And I think you mentioned, like when you said in the pandemic, when you started doing that and you were like, you want to make people feel better. I think that's a great point. Cause like I said, it's comforting. And during those times, like we were rewatching High School Musical and Sweet Life of Zach and Cody and all those things to make us feel comforted. And so I think that's great.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah. We just had Corbin Bleu in here a few weeks ago. I guess that was like a couple months ago now. The summer really went by fast. And, he's kind of connected back with popping into the Disney Plus series and like doing all this stuff. And it's so cool to see everyone stay connected in that world. I feel like watching you on social media, you have always kind of stayed close with that cast, which is very impressive. It's been a long time. What really like have you done to try and maintain a lot of those friendships? You've been in the biz, as they call it, for a very long time.
Yeah. I mean, it's so wild. Obviously, like we are all in different places of life. And but the thing about what's so great about every single one of them is that you can text them and be like, hey, and like just I haven't talked to you in so long. Like Lucas was just texting me like a couple of weeks ago and we were just like chatting and it's like time hasn't passed. It's so weird, but they really are all good people. And I think that we went through something that was just a really wild, like, it was a wild time in our lives. And so I think that, we all kind of remind each other of that. And But yeah, everybody's such I mean, you've met Corbin, like a really genuine, like good person. And so, even if we haven't seen each other for a minute, it's like you can still just like text each other and be like, "Hey, how's it going?" And everyone is just like able to connect again.
Yeah. How old were you when you first really started in the business? Because obviously Sweet Life of Zach and Cody was before High School Musical.
Yeah.
And
But I was reading you were like 3 years old.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I was
insane.
3 when I started in commercials and modeling in New York City. And then I was 8 when I did Les Miserables, like on tour. And then I was around 10 years old when I started doing TV stuff in LA. And so, yeah, I started very young, but I didn't get success until I was 18. I was 18 when I did Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. It looked like I was 14.
I was going to say 18 is crazy because I would have guessed like 15.
I remember the Disney Channel president being like, "You're the oldest on this channel." Like, lovely.
But they were probably so happy they didn't have to like pay other people to be on set with you because that's a whole other thing.
Not tough to do that. I also like loved that I was able to have a kind of normal life. Like I went to school, I went to public school. I worked in clothing stores when I was 16 years old. Like I got to really experience life before. A lot of my friends that I grew up with in this business, like have never had a real job or have never, like gone to school and done proms and stuff. And so it's like, I can't imagine not having that experience. And so I was really fortunate. I remember hating it at the time. Like I was so mad that my parents were making me do that because I was like, I work on TV shows. Well, I still have to do homework and try to I was going to school every day and it was really hard. And then I was like having to work at like clothing stores that were like just, scraping gum off the floor because my manager hated me, I think. And I was just like, this fucking sucks. But you know what? It makes you so grounded and like really appreciate when all of this stuff happened. I was like so grateful and been like, there's like other things that I could be doing. And I just felt like I really was grateful that my parents had me go through that. And I learned so much.
Right. It almost feels like everybody has different chapters to their lives, but like yours truly was like, all right, school, you were still doing everything, but then a whole new chapter started when you're 18.
Yes. Yeah. And I do think that there's a difference when you are older and have success because, it's like a lot of young kids that come from Disney and Nickelodeon. It's tough, like, can you imagine being super successful at the age of 15 and 14? Like it's really hard. And you're already going through your own stuff. Like, you go through your normal, like, who am I in the world? And like, what am I doing? And trying to navigate relationships. So I feel like because I didn't, gain success until after I'd gone through all of those things, I was really like, okay, I was able to really separate the business from my personal life and know that it's a job and I'm at home, myself.
Yeah.
So I was, I think, able to kind of navigate it a little bit better.
So even though you were developing new projects and working on your business and all these things, amazing things during the pandemic, was that really the first time you had stopped really like actually working outside of your home and your entire life almost?
Literally, I had never had that much time off in my life.
Yeah.
Like my life since 3 years old. I've always been working, like I never did like a summer camp. I definitely went to regular school and had those experiences, but I was like auditioning after school and working, so it's like, I've never had that much time off. So I really didn't know like what I was going to go through, but of course, just who I am, like I'm always creating. And then I was creating a life at the same time.
Yeah.
So I really did though. It was such a beautiful, like, time to get pregnant. Like I can't imagine being pregnant with like even now, like it would be hard to just like navigate that and stuff. But that was a beautiful time to kind of be able to like be pregnant and also be able to like see my daughter and work. I'm still working from home, which is really, different. And so I've really been able to have those moments where I'm like, okay, like this is different, but I get to see my daughter every day, and like, you know, she's growing constantly. So so there definitely, obviously we all went through some highs and lows, but it was kind of a moment where I really got to just, you know, like, I guess sit back and figure out like what I wanted to do next. I think that I went through a lot of changes like everybody else. I wasn't comfortable acting with people because I was really anxious about everything, and especially being pregnant. So I wasn't like the most comfortable doing a movie or TV show, but I, like I said, I think I created something that was like way more meaningful out of that.
That's what I was going to ask you, because I do think there's a lot of young moms right now that have been pregnant or given birth during the pandemic, where now that things are getting back to normal a little bit, the anxiety is very high because it's a totally different thing. You're not pregnant out in the world. You're not doing all the same things that everybody was doing before. So I know that a lot of other women have dealt with that too. How have you kind of adjusted now to having a young child that you're like, oh, I didn't go anywhere and now we can go outside, but this is scary.
Yes. Yeah. I'm still like, for me, I'm still like masking up, and like, I have had COVID, but I had like a really isolating time with it. I was in my room for 8 days away from my husband and the baby, and they did not have it. So I'm still very nervous and clearly have anxiety already. So of course I'm going to be anxious about it, but I am starting to like, you know, let go. The one thing I've never wanted to do is put my anxiety on my daughter. So I've had her in her Sunday, like she has a class with all our friends and their babies, and they've been in it since they were 4 months old. And so it's like, I always was checked myself being like, okay, it might make me anxious, but like, it's important for her to socialize and be around other kids. And so, you know, I feel like now we're even, you know, more kind of seeing other people and going out a little bit more, but yeah, it's a weird time to raise, you know, a child. It's the stuff that people have never had to think about, that we're, you know, like there was definitely earlier when she was only a couple months old, me just like clocking if we're out to a restaurant, even outside, I was like clocking how close somebody was to her and stuff like that, that you normally would not have to think about. And so it's been challenging, but it's also, like I said, I think that even when there's things that are challenging, there's also positives. I try to look at the positive a lot more than kind of like, you know, the anxious negatives, because like I said, I would not have been able to, my life before, I wouldn't be able to, like, I would never have been working at home. So it's kind of cool to be able to have this with her and before she goes to school.
Right. Yeah. And now you're raising a daughter, you're working from home, you have your own brand. Are you going to do any more acting? Are you taking a break from that? What's the plan going forward?
Yeah. So of course I developed something else. I was like, I'm always developing a lot of stuff. You know, having a child, people said this would happen, but I was like, I don't think so. And it's so true. It does happen. You things just change for you, you know, like you look at things differently. I think before I was willing to just be like, yeah, I'll do that job. Yeah, I'll do that role, 'cause I love to work. I'm a workaholic and I love it. But I think that like when I had her, she really just inspired me, and I really got more focused in what I wanted to do. And I was just like, I've been wanting to do a TV series, a single camera comedy, like a really grounded series for a long time, for years. But I would always just kind of like, oh, okay, get distracted by something else that I was going to do. And so I, you know, had the time to really be like, okay, like what does that look like? And what is that character? And so I actually did develop something. I can't say much about it. But yes, I will definitely be going back into acting soon.
That's amazing.
That's exciting.
That sounds very exciting.
Well, it sounds like you are constantly, you know, developing, coming up with ideas, and you have all these great shows, you know, on your resume to prove it. What are you consuming? Like, what are you watching? Do you even watch other stuff, or is it just like how? Because I just feel like sometimes people are so when you're in the acting and the development side, like you're so busy and you miss all the stuff that's being made, or you just consume everything.
We consume everything.
I consume a lot of TV. The shows, like, I mean, Ted Lasso is like one of my favorite
Yeah.
shows. I've watched that like actually again. I think it's so good. I mean, Handmaid's Tale, obviously, when it's on, I love. I watch everything, comedy to like dark, dramas. But I've recently have gotten into Magnolia Kitchens, or is it no Magnolia Network? The Lost Kitchen is like, I'm obsessed with it. I've been watching that like every night. I love a good like fixer upper type of show. So, like this show called Capturing Home on it. I'm like obsessed with watching that. I love interior design. So it's just like, of course, the Magnolia Network is like my favorite thing ever. But I consume so much TV. I love Dave. Dave, I've watched like multiple.
That's so good.
So good.
Dave is hilarious.
Yeah, I think that, I definitely, it's one of my favorite things to do at night with my husband is like, okay, cool. We put the baby to sleep and like, now let's watch a show.
Do you watch any reality TV?
Yes, but Bravo.
We're Bravo fans. We're Bravo fans.
I mean, every Real Housewife. It's honestly the reason why I even know about Bravo is because I used to have a production company and I produced a lot of reality stuff. And my first show to ever get picked up was by the network Bravo. And this was like, I would say 10 years ago. And so I was like, I gotta check out this network. Like I'm going to have a show on it. And I got sucked into the Housewives, and I have not stopped since. And my husband's like, I still can't believe it's just like every single one. I love it.
What's your favorite one?
Oh my gosh. I mean, it changes. It's like obviously when it's like in season and on, I'm like, this is my favorite one. But it's like,
yes,
every single one of them. I mean, I love so many different characters. I mean, like I look at them as characters, but like, gosh, I don't know. Like all of them are just so wild. They're so wild. I felt like it was so funny. Me and my mom friends went on a little kind of like weekend retreat. Not even, it was really actually a night away. And I was like, this feels like a Real Housewives. Like all the moms leaving.
Yeah, the ultimate girls trip like they did on Peacock.
Yeah, like living out my Real Housewives dreams. So
that is so funny.
We love Real Housewives.
I've watched everything as well too, and I do think we were joking because we have been so locked into this is kind of a change, but the Elvis movie we were so invested in, and when Austin Butler got cast, we were like, oh my God, Sharpay's Fabulous Adventure, like this is crazy.
And we kept telling everyone, we were like, we were on the Austin Butler train before everybody else was. Everybody's like, oh, he's Elvis, but like
on the Austin Butler train since he was like 15 or 14 years old. So I totally get it. I always tell him like, I found you. I was like, I started your career.
You're like,
totally. No, we believe that.
You were just the lead in a Baz Luhrmann movie. You're welcome.
Yes, for real. No, I'm so like, I was obviously so excited for him. I mean,
he was so good.
The Fox movie that we did, and we became best friends back then and have been in each other's lives. And like, he is literally like one of my best friends and such a good guy. And I couldn't be happier for someone because he really, what I loved about him and his journey is that he really set out to like, he wanted to do other things, and he kept on getting offers to do things that he had been doing. And he was like, no, like he's just has always worked so hard on his craft. And so this was just like you could just see that he like spent so much time saying no to certain work, and you're like, oh, I just hope it happens for him, like that he gets to where he wants to go. And so seeing him do all of these things and like really thriving is just awesome. And he's so talented.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, he literally became Elvis.
He really did.
He really did. I know. Like, yeah, his voice changed, and I was like, like it's just, I think when that's for an actor, that is a really hard thing to do. Like imagine taking your job is to take on someone who everybody has loved and known, and you're like, you don't want to come off fake and not like, you want to really dive into that. And so it's just like, to me, I respect anybody, however they have to get there. it's like, do it. But also he was playing that character because it got shut down and everything because of COVID. Yeah. He was there for 2 years. So imagine working on your voice for 2 years to sound like Elvis. Like it's going to be hard to kind of come out of it for sure. But yeah, I mean, actors that really dive into that stuff, it's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, he was phenomenal.
He really was amazing in the movie. So it's I love that you guys are still connected. That's so great. But we have to wrap up here. I want to ask you though, you have all these amazing products for like the listeners of our show. I'd say, young girls, what are your favorites that you think anybody could kind of get into your line? What you're walking into Target, what's like the 2 things everyone needs to have?
I mean, I love the hair, body, and linen mist. It's so good. That's like one of our top sellers as well. But the renewing body wash I use every single morning. It's the easiest way to get a mood boost. It's the quickest way in the shower. But I also love our milky bath bombs. That's like obviously one of my favorite rituals.
Sounds amazing.
The hand serum is good with the milky body lotion is amazing as well. I mean, I think you just have to like go in there. The discovery set is actually all of the moods. So you can like test out each scent. And I would do that. And then obviously like whatever you're drawn to, like every single thing I love, it's my favorite. But like everyone always says like, what's your favorite mood? I'm like, it really depends on what I want to feel like that day. And so it's like, I love Solar Flare during the day, but I also love Citrus Amber in the morning in the shower. I mean, they're all under $17. So it's my favorite. Like each one is like something that's super important to me. So I think you won't go wrong.
That sounds so amazing. Everyone can head to Target, go pick up some Being Frenchie products. Ashley, thank you so much for joining us. This is amazing. We can't wait to see what else you have coming in the future.
Oh my God. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. It was so nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you.